My daughter-in-law posted a family photo with my face circled. If you could erase one person from the family, who would you choose? I saw it at 11:43 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was in bed scrolling through my phone and there it was, the Christmas photo from last year. My whole family gathered around my dining room table, golden hour light through the windows. Everyone smiling except Victoria had drawn a thick red circle around my face. Just mine. The caption, if you could erase one person from the family, who would you choose? You know my choice. My hands started shaking. I scrolled through the comments. 67 of them, all from her side of the family. Her mother. I know exactly who I'd pick. LOL. Her sister. Some people really overstay their welcome, don't they? Her cousin. When you know, with crying, laughing emojis. Victoria responded to each one. More jokes about controlling old women and time to let go. Daniel hadn't commented. Neither had my other boys. I sat in the dark for a long time. Here's the thing. I'm not some meddling mother-in-law. When Daniel married Victoria 6 years ago, I welcomed her completely. Threw her a bridal shower, helped them move, babysat every Thursday, brought groceries when money was tight, paid for their kitchen renovation when pipes burst. $15,000 I never asked back. But this past year changed. Little comments. Must be nice having so much free time. Daniel's always worried what his mother thinks. Babysitting stopped. She'd scroll through her phone during dinner or take calls in another room. I thought she was stressed. New job, kids getting older. I gave her space. This was my reward. At 7:18 a.m., I commented, the house you're living in isn't your husband's. It's mine, and I just voted to erase you from my property. Then I called my lawyer. Patricia answered immediately. Eleanor, what's wrong? I need to know my options on the Sycamore Street property. Pause. That's Daniel's house. That's my house. Daniel lives there. What happened? I told her everything. When I finished, she exhaled slowly. You publicly said you're evicting her. I want to know what's legally possible. The house is in your name. You bought it outright for $340,000 7 years ago. You pay the taxes. Correct. Verbal agreement. Daniel would handle taxes and maintenance, but the deed's in your name? Yes. Then you can ask them to leave. 30 days notice. After that, file for eviction if they refuse. I felt something cold settle in my chest. And if I do this, your son will probably never forgive you. Patricia's voice was gentle. Is this really what you want? Over a social media post. It's not about the post. It's about 6 years watching her pull my son away, teaching my grandchildren I'm someone to be ashamed of. She thinks she can humiliate me publicly because I have no power. She thinks I'm just some old woman who will take anything to stay in my grandchildren's lives. Are you scared of losing them? Terrified. But I'm more scared of teaching my 8-year-old granddaughter that women should accept disrespect to keep the peace. My phone started buzzing. Daniel, Victoria, my other sons. Text after text. I looked at the screen. 63 missed calls, 100 texts. Daniel, Mom, what the hell? Daniel, call me now. Victoria, you can't be serious. Victoria, this is my house. Brian, Mom, what's going on? I turned it off. The thing is, Daniel told Victoria he bought that house. He didn't. I did. When they got married, he was drowning in student loans. I bought it in cash so they'd have stability. Told him we'd transfer the deed when he was ready. He never told her the truth. Let her believe it was his. Their house, their equity, their future, but it wasn't. At 2 p.m., I turned my phone back on and sent one message to Daniel. Coffee tomorrow, 10 a.m. My place. Just you. Daniel opened his phone to an Instagram account I didn't recognize. Victoria created this 6 months ago under a different name. It's our family, but photoshopped. She's edited you out of every photo and made it look natural, like you were never there. Christmas morning, birthday parties, every memory. She's built an entire alternative version of our life and posted it with captions about her perfect family, and she has actual followers who believe it. Yesterday, our daughter asked me why Grandma wasn't in any of the real photos on Mommy's pretty Instagram, only the old ones on our regular phones, and I realized she's teaching the kids that this edited version is the truth, and our actual memories are the lies. I stared at Daniel across my kitchen table. He wouldn't look at me, just kept turning his coffee mug in small circles, watching the liquid swirl. Show me, I said. He pulled out his phone, unlocked it, handed it over like he was giving up evidence at a crime scene. The Instagram was called @ourfamilyjourney_V847 followers. I scrolled through posts from the last 6 months. There was Thanksgiving dinner, the grandkids opening presents, summer barbecue in their backyard. Every single photo had been edited. Not sloppily either. Professional level work. Victoria had erased me from family memories so completely that if you didn't know I existed, you'd never guess someone was missing. One photo showed Daniel and the kids at the zoo. I remembered that day. I took that picture. In the original, I was crouched next to my granddaughter pointing at the penguins. In Victoria's version, there was just empty space where I'd been. She'd even added extra background to fill the gap. How long have you known about this? I asked. Daniel picked at the edge of his mug. 3 months, maybe. 3 months. Lily mentioned it. She said something about Mommy's pretty pictures without Grandma. I thought she was confused at first, like maybe mixing up different photos. Then I looked. I put the phone down carefully between us. And you didn't tell me? I was going to. When? I don't know, Mom. I knew if you found out this would happen, the whole family would explode. There it was. My son had watched his wife publicly humiliate me for 3 months, and said nothing because it was easier than dealing with it. You want to know what's actually happening here? I kept my voice level. Your wife has been systematically erasing me from our family's story, teaching your children that I don't exist in the real version of their lives. And you knew. For 3 months you knew, and you chose her comfort over my dignity. That's not fair. Which part? He finally looked up at me. His eyes were red. She's my wife, Mom. What was I supposed to do? Literally anything. Tell her to stop, take the account down, talk to me. Anything except watch it happen and hope I never noticed. The coffee had gone cold between us. Outside, someone was mowing their lawn. Normal Tuesday morning sounds. I need you and Victoria out of the Sycamore house in 30 days, I said. All the color drained from Daniel's face. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious about anything. Mom, we can't afford anywhere else. My salary barely covers bills and Victoria's freelance work is all over the place. Some months she makes decent money, other months nothing. We've been living paycheck to paycheck for 2 years. I stood up and started clearing the coffee mugs even though we weren't done. I needed something to do with my hands. That's not my problem anymore. Please, his voice cracked. We have nowhere to go. We've been terrified you'd take the house back someday. That's why. He stopped. I turned around. That's why what? That's why Victoria's been pulling away. She's been preparing the kids for losing you, for losing the house, for losing everything we can't actually afford on our own. I set the mugs in the sink, turned on the water, watched it run. So her solution was to erase me from existence on social media? To teach your children I'm disposable? I'm not saying it was right. I'm saying she's scared. Well, now she has something real to be scared about. 30 days, Daniel. He left 20 minutes later. I watched him drive away from my front window. His car needed new brakes. I could hear them squealing from inside the house. That night, someone knocked on my door at 9:47 p.m. Victoria stood on my porch. No tears, no apologetic flowers, just cold and direct. We need to talk, she said. I let her in because I wanted to hear what she possibly thought she could say to me. She sat on my couch like she owned it, crossed her legs, looked me straight in the eye. If you evict us, I'll tell everyone you promised that house as a gift when Daniel got married, that you're reneging over a social media post because you can't handle not being the center of attention. I actually laughed. Good luck with that. I have texts, Eleanor. Messages from you about our house and your house when you're talking to Daniel. Never once did you say you were keeping the deed in your name temporarily. Never once did you treat it like a loan. You treated it like a gift, and now you're taking it back because your feelings got hurt. The deed is in my name. And that makes you look like you were hiding the truth behind technicalities the whole time, like you always planned to have this power over us. She leaned forward. I've been building this narrative for months, Eleanor. I have screenshots. I have witnesses who will say you told them it was Daniel's house. I've been preparing for this conversation since the day I realized you'd never actually give up control. I sat down across from her. You really hate me that much? I don't hate you. I'm just done pretending I don't see what you're doing. And what am I doing? Keeping us dependent, keeping us grateful, keeping us stuck. We sat there in my living room, the same room where I'd hosted their engagement party, where I'd rocked both of their babies to sleep during difficult nights, where I'd wrapped Christmas presents for their kids every year. Get out of my house, I said quietly. Victoria stood up, smoothed her jacket. 30 days isn't long enough to find a place we can afford. We'll need at least 60. You'll have 30. She walked to the door, paused with her hand on the knob. This is going to get ugly, Eleanor. And when it does, remember you started it. After she left, I sat in the dark for a long time. Then I went to my office and started searching through 7 years of emails and texts with Daniel about the house. She was right. Every single message said your house, or our house, or the Sycamore place. I'd been so careful to be supportive, to make them feel like it was really theirs, that I'd never documented the actual agreement, never put in writing that the deed would transfer when he was ready, never specified what ready meant. I had my name on a deed. That was it. And if this went to court, I'd look exactly like Victoria said, like a mother who'd used a technicality to maintain control over her son's life. I searched for 3 hours, found nothing that would prove my side of the story, nothing except trust I'd given freely to my son. At 11:30 p.m., I got in my car and drove to Sycamore Street. The lights were on in the kitchen. Through the window, I could see Victoria loading the dishwasher. Alone. I knocked. She opened the door like she'd been expecting me. Where's Daniel? Putting the kids to bed. I need to know something, I said. Why do you actually hate me? After everything I've done to help you, to help your family, what did I do that was so terrible you needed to erase me from existence? Victoria stepped back, let me into the kitchen, into my own kitchen that I'd paid for. She laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. You really don't see it, do you? See what? Every dollar you gave us came with invisible strings. Every favor, every hour of babysitting, every appliance you replaced, and every grocery run you funded. It was all another entry in your ledger proving we couldn't survive without you. I was helping you. You were making sure we'd always owe you. She grabbed her laptop from the counter, opened it, pulled up the Instagram account. I made this because I needed to see what our life could look like if we weren't drowning in debt to you, if we weren't performing gratitude every time we saw you, if we were just free from me, from the weight of everything you've given us that we can never pay back. I looked at the photos on her screen, my family without me in it, smiling and whole and unburdened. Is that what Daniel thinks too? Victoria's face changed. Something flickered there, something like pain. Daniel has his own problems, she said quietly. What does that mean? She closed the laptop, stared at it for a long moment. The kitchen renovation wasn't $15,000. I waited. It was 9, maybe 9.5 with materials Daniel bought later. My stomach dropped. Where did the other 6,000 go? I don't know, but I have other numbers that don't add up either. Grocery money you thought you were giving us? Daniel told me it came from overtime. Car payments I thought came from his bonus? He said you paid them. I've been keeping track for 18 months and nothing makes sense. She opened a drawer, pulled out a folder, handed it to me. Inside were bank statements, spreadsheets, highlighted sections showing deposits and withdrawals that didn't match what either of us thought was happening. I built that Instagram because I started to suspect Daniel was using your generosity to hide something. I wanted to create a version of our family where I could see clearly, where his lies couldn't distort everything. I looked through the papers. Money I'd given Daniel that never made it to the bills he said it was for. Money Victoria thought came from his paycheck that couldn't have. Months and months of numbers that didn't line up. How much do you think is missing? I honestly don't know. I can't track it all because I don't have access to everything, but it's a lot. I sat down at the kitchen table, my kitchen table, the one I'd bought them when they first moved in. Have you confronted him? He says I'm paranoid, that I'm bad at math, that I don't understand how his paychecks work. She sat down across from me. But I'm not stupid, Eleanor. Money is disappearing, and I think you've been funding whatever he's hiding without knowing it. We looked at each other across the table. Two women who'd spent years as enemies realizing we'd both been played. I need to see his bank records, I said. Good luck. He has everything password protected. I'm his mother. I co-signed his first apartment lease. I know his social security number. Victoria almost smiled. The bank's not going to just give you his statements. No, but I can pull records of every transfer I've made to him for the last 6 years. Every check I've written, every Venmo I've sent, and we can compare it to what you have. And then what? Then we figure out where my money actually went. I drove straight to my bank the next morning when they opened at 9 a.m., requested printed records of every transfer to Daniel going back 6 years. The clerk asked if I wanted it mailed. I said I'd wait. Took 45 minutes. When she came back, she handed me a folder an inch thick. I sat in the parking lot and went through it page by page. House down payment, $340,000. Kitchen renovation, $15,000. Car repair, $2,300. Furnace replacement, $4,100. Medical bills after Lily was born, $3,800. Christmas money, birthday money, emergency money, just because money. The total at the bottom of the last page made my hands shake. $387,643 over 6 years. I drove to Sycamore Street. Victoria's car was in the driveway. I texted her from outside. Need to show you something. Come out. She came out in yoga pants and an old sweatshirt holding a coffee mug. I handed her my bank records through the car window. Read the total on the last page. She flipped to it. Her face went white. That's not possible. That's what I gave your family in 6 years, not including the house. Daniel told me maybe $5,000 total, like over everything. He said you helped with the kitchen and bought some furniture and gave us Christmas money, but that was basically it. I pulled out the folder Victoria had given me the night before, the one with her spreadsheet tracking Daniel's lies. How much did you calculate was missing? She opened her car door, got in the passenger seat next to me, pulled out her phone and opened a numbers app. Based on what I could track, about $34,000 over 5 years. Money, he said, came from places it couldn't have. I did the math in my head. So between what I gave that you didn't know about and what you think disappeared from his actual paychecks, we're looking at over $60,000 unaccounted for. Victoria's voice was barely a whisper. We sat in my car in the driveway of the house I'd bought, looking at numbers that proved my son had been robbing both of us for years. He played us against each other, Victoria said. I thought you were the controlling one. You thought I was the ungrateful one. And he kept taking from both of us and lying about where it went. Where does $60,000 go? I need to find his credit card statements. The real ones, not the ones he shows me. You have access? To the joint account, yeah. But he has 2 cards I know about that he says are for work expenses. I've never seen statements for them. We went inside. Victoria pulled up their bank account on her laptop, started downloading statements and organizing files. I watched her work, methodical, focused. This wasn't her first time searching for evidence. How long have you suspected? I asked. 1.5 years, maybe? Little things stopped making sense. We'd be broke and then suddenly we weren't. He'd say he got a bonus, but the amount in the account didn't match. He'd tell me you paid for something, but then later you'd mention something else entirely. She pulled up credit card statements from an account I didn't recognize, started scrolling. Her scrolling got slower, then stopped. Oh my God. I looked at the screen. Charges to FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, PokerStars, page after page after page. Some days had 15 transactions, $100, $250, $500, a few for over $1,000, going back 7 years. He told me these were client entertainment expenses, Victoria whispered. Dinners and drinks and golf with potential accounts. I asked to see receipts once and he said his company didn't require them under $500. I grabbed the laptop, started scrolling back further, found the pattern. Every time I'd given Daniel money, kitchen renovation, car repair, medical bills, there'd be a spike in gambling transactions within days. He'd been taking money meant for his family and feeding it directly into online casinos. How much is here? I asked. Victoria pulled up a calculator, started adding. Her hands were shaking so hard she kept hitting wrong numbers. When she finished, she just stared at the screen. Over $90,000 in 7 years, just on this card. Jesus Christ. There's another card, the one he says is for gas and groceries. She pulled up that one. More gambling sites, different ones. Smaller amounts but more frequent. Daily transactions to betting apps I'd never heard of. Another $40,000 over the same period. My son had a gambling addiction that had cost our family over $130,000. Money I'd given him thinking I was helping his wife and children survive. Money Victoria had thought was going to bills and necessities and building a future. All of it gone. Fed into algorithms designed to make people like Daniel chase the next win. Does he know you found this? Not yet. I got access to this account 2 months ago. He doesn't check the email it's linked to anymore. I've been trying to figure out how bad it was before I confronted him. And the Instagram? She looked at me. I needed to imagine what our life would be like if I left, if I took the kids and got away from all of this. But every version of that future had us homeless because we can't afford anything on just my income. So I photoshopped you out instead of photoshopping him out. Because at least if it was your fault we were struggling, I had someone to blame who wasn't the father of my children. I understood then. Victoria wasn't erasing me because she hated me. She was erasing me because I was the one person in her life she could safely be angry at. The one person whose loss wouldn't destroy her kids' understanding of their family. She'd been drowning, and I'd been the only one close enough to grab onto. We need to print all of this, I said. Every statement, every transaction, every lie he told both of us about where money was going. We spent 3 hours printing and organizing. By the time we finished, the dining room table was covered in evidence. Bank statements, credit card bills, my records of transfers, Victoria's spreadsheet of discrepancies. A complete paper trail of Daniel's 7-year betrayal. When does he get home? I asked. Victoria checked her phone. Usually around 5:30. It's 4:15 now. Call Brian and Michael. Tell them to be here at 5:45. Why? Because when their brother sees this and tries to run, I want witnesses. Victoria made the calls. Both of my other sons said they'd come. They'd been defending Daniel to their wives for 2 weeks, calling me unreasonable for threatening to evict him over a social media post. They deserved to know the truth. At 5:32, Daniel's car pulled into the driveway. Victoria and I were sitting at the dining room table surrounded by evidence of his crimes. We didn't say anything, just waited. He came through the door talking before he even saw us. Hey, sorry I'm late, there was an accident on. He stopped, looked at the table, looked at our faces, looked at the table again. I watched all the color drain from his face. What is this? Sit down, Victoria said. I can just... Sit down, Daniel. He sat. His eyes were moving over the papers. I could see him trying to calculate what we knew, how much we'd found. Where did $63,000 go? I asked. I don't know what you're... I slid the gambling statements across the table. Try again. He picked them up. His hands were shaking. He looked at them for maybe 10 seconds before he dropped them and bolted for the front door. I don't know what I expected. Denial, maybe. Tears. An explanation. But I didn't expect him to just run. Victoria was faster. She got to the door first and locked it. Daniel yanked on the handle anyway, like he could will it to open. Move, Victoria. No. I have to go. You're not leaving. Her voice was steel. You're going to sit back down and explain where our money went. It's not, I can fix this. I walked over and grabbed his shoulder, turned him around. My son looked at me with tears streaming down his face. Please don't tell Brian and Michael, he sobbed. Please, Mom. I'll do anything. I'll get help. I'll fix it. Just please don't tell them. I already did, Victoria said. The look on his face would have been funny if it wasn't so pathetic. Like she'd just told him he was being executed. They're on their way, she continued. And when they get here, you're going to sit there and explain to your entire family how you stole from everyone who loved you. Daniel slid down the door and sat on the floor with his head in his hands, crying. I'd never seen him like this. Not when his father died. Not when he failed the bar exam. Not ever. When did it start? I asked. Law school. His voice was muffled through his hands. Small stuff at first. $20 on football games. Then more. Then I won $500 and I thought I could do it again. And I did. And then I didn't. And then I was trying to win back what I lost. And it never stopped. 7 years. You've been doing this for 7 years? I tried to quit multiple times. I'd delete the apps and cancel the accounts. And then something would go wrong and I'd need money and I'd think just one more win, just enough to cover this bill, and then I'd be back in. Victoria was standing in the kitchen doorway with her arms crossed. The kitchen renovation. I used $6,000 for a debt. A guy I owed, from poker. I was going to pay you back, I swear, I just needed time. The grocery money Eleanor gave us? Car payments. I was 3 months behind. They were going to repo it. The overtime you told me about for 2 years? There was no overtime. I took Eleanor's money and told you it was work bonuses so you wouldn't know how broke we actually were. I sat down on the floor next to my son. Who are you? He looked at me. I'm sorry. That's not an answer. I don't know. I honestly don't know anymore. Brian's car pulled up outside, then Michael's. They came in together and stopped when they saw Daniel on the floor and the papers covering the table. What's going on? Brian asked. I stood up. Your brother has a gambling addiction. He's stolen over $60,000 from Victoria and me over the last 7 years. Every dollar I gave him for his family went directly to online casinos. He's been lying to all of us about money, about work, about everything. Michael walked to the table, started reading through the statements. His jaw got tighter with every page. Brian crouched down next to Daniel. Is this true? Daniel nodded. Brian stood up, grabbed Daniel by the collar, hauled him to his feet, and shoved him against the wall so hard the picture frames rattled. Brian, I started. Do you have any idea what you've done? Brian's voice was shaking. I defended you. To my wife, to Mom, to everyone. I called Mom unreasonable for threatening to evict you over Instagram. I told Jenna she was overreacting when she said something was off about you. I made myself look like an idiot defending you, and this whole time you were... Michael pulled Brian off before he could do anything worse. Daniel slumped against the wall, not even trying to defend himself. I'm sorry, Daniel kept saying. I'm so sorry. I'll fix it. I'll get help. You're going to rehab, Victoria said. Today, tonight. I don't care if we have to drive you there ourselves, but you're getting treatment. Okay, yes. I'll go. Whatever you need. And you're going to call every credit card company and close every account. I will. And you're going to attend GA meetings every single day for the next year.
Yes. And you're going to get a second job to start paying your mother back every dollar you stole from her.
Daniel nodded, still crying, still pathetic. Victoria walked to the kitchen and pulled something from a drawer, a folder. She came back and opened it on top of all the other papers. One more thing, she said. Inside the folder was a mortgage application. Daniel's forged signature. My name listed as co-owner of the Sycamore Street property.
What is this? I asked.
Daniel took out a second mortgage on the house last year. He forged your signature as co-owner to get approved. The bank accepted it because he'd been listing you as co-owner on utility bills for years. I picked up the documents. There was my name, a signature that looked like mine but wasn't. Loan amount, $75,000. You forged my signature? Daniel couldn't even look at me. I needed the money. I was so far in debt. I thought I could pay it back before anyone noticed. Where's the $75,000? Gone. It's all gone. Victoria smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. So here's what's going to happen. I'm keeping this house. My name is on this mortgage Daniel got by committing fraud. I'm the legal resident of a property with your name fraudulently attached to it. And if you want your house back, Eleanor, you're going to have to evict me. And when you do, I'll make sure everyone knows your son is a forger and a gambling addict who stole from his own mother. I stared at her.
What? You heard me. This house is mine now. Because if you fight me on it, Daniel goes to prison for fraud. And I don't think you want that.
Brian and Michael were just staring. This had gone so far beyond what any of us expected. You're blackmailing me, I said. I'm protecting my children. This house is the only asset we have left. I'm not letting you take it.
I bought that house.
And your son turned it into collateral for his addiction. So now it's mine. She gathered up all the papers, the bank statements, the credit cards, the mortgage documents, everything. Daniel's going to rehab tonight. You three can take him. I'm staying here with my kids. And in the morning, I'm going to find a lawyer who specializes in fraud cases, and we're going to figure out exactly how much legal trouble your son is in.
She looked at me. Unless you want to sign the house over to me right now, and we forget the mortgage fraud ever happened.
I stood there in the house I'd bought 7 years ago. The house I'd paid $340,000 cash for, so my son could have stability. The house I'd put only in my name because I wanted to protect my investment. Daniel was crying against the wall. Brian and Michael wouldn't look at me. Victoria was holding a folder full of evidence that my son had committed a felony. And she was right. If I fought her, if I tried to take back my house, I'd have to press charges against Daniel. Fraud, forgery, maybe more. My son would go to prison. My grandchildren would grow up visiting their father behind glass. You have 3 days to decide, Victoria said. Sign the house over to me, or I take this to the police and let the courts sort it out. She walked upstairs. I heard a door close. The 4 of us stood in the living room in silence. Mom, Daniel started.
Don't. I couldn't even look at him. Just don't.
I walked out, got in my car, drove home while the sun set over a neighborhood I'd lived in for 30 years. 2 weeks later, a process server came to my door with papers. Victoria was suing for legal ownership of the Sycamore house, claiming it had been a gift, using Daniel's forged co-owner documents as proof I'd always intended it to be theirs. I called Patricia. She read through everything over the phone. You can fight this, she said. The deed's in your name. The mortgage is fraud. You can win, and Daniel goes to prison.
And if I don't fight?
Then she gets a $340,000 house for free, and your son stays out of jail. I sat with those papers for 3 days, read them over and over, looked at my son's forged signature next to my name, thought about what I'd tell my grandchildren when they asked why their father was in prison, thought about what I'd lost already, the money, the trust, the relationship with my son that I'd never get back.
On the 3rd day, I signed.
Victoria could have the house, and the liar who came with it.